Married threesomes and a man who plays a cosmic beam are Tom Snyder guests on tomorrow.
The future of winter sports, tonight at 8:30.
Good morning, all, and welcome to 1974 in the central time zones of the United States. 1974 is about 20 seconds old now, plus 1 hour in the eastern time zones. Many of you have not seen this program before. Happy New Year. Give the special effects department something to do. They've been waiting all year. 1974, the promise of a new year is exciting to a lot of people, but 1973 was a big year for all of us who work on this program, which was called Tomorrow. We premiered back on October the 15th of this year, or last year now. And in the, roughly 12 or 13 weeks since then, we'd like to think that we brought some different things to television programming, things that have not been seen before, controversial topics, interesting topics, things that affect us all or may someday soon. The most interesting letter, or one of them that I received all year long, was from a lady who's in her 70s now who said, you know, I really don't care about group marriage or lesbianism or nudist colonies, but I find myself sitting up very late at night watching your program on television because I feel I just have to know what's going on. Basically, that's what our program tries to do, let people who watch television know what's going on. And during the course of the broadcast this morning, rather than present some brand new guests for 1974, we're going to take a look back over our first 12 or 13 weeks at some of the more interesting people we've had on here. And rather than identify them all for you by name here at the outset, let me just show you a little piece of videotape and give you some idea of what's in store as the Tomorrow program runs through what's happened for us in 1973 and gives you some idea of what we plan for 1974. Here is the videotape. It all happened right here on the stage, as Ed Sullivan used to say, and we'll take you back through it all after this word from our sponsors when the Tomorrow program continues. For those who have not seen the Tomorrow program before, then here are some of the things we do. Back during our first week, we did a spot with people who are called groupies. These are teenagers who follow the rock music stars, the singers, the composers, the instrumentalists. And we had always thought that most of these young people were female, girls following the guys who were on the circuit. That night we found out there was such a thing as a male rock star groupie. He billed himself as the star of Hollywood. His name was Chuck, and we asked him how come.
Well, it's not like, well, see, a groupie is like a fan of rock stars, and they follow them around, and they go to their taping of TV shows, and, you know, all sorts of things like that, you know, where they're playing. And, like, when the New York Dolls came out into L.A., and Led Zeppelin, things like that, like, I just make friends with the group and, you know, follow them around, you know, make friends with them, things like that. Mm-hmm. I don't get into the real physical contact like most of the groupies do.
You do not minister to male rock stars sexually, is what you were saying to me, nor do they do that for you. Would you say that, and believe me, I am not making fun here, but I must ask, because I don't see a lot of guys on my street who wear, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And understand that when we laugh here, honestly, we are laughing with, not at. Please understand. Now, but you know what I mean. I don't see a lot of guys like this.
Well, like, getting just like this, it's called, like, Flash. And it's, like, part of the glitter trip or the Hollywood scene. In England, it's called glamour rock. You know, the thing is like, the rock stars, you know, in the glitter trip get dressed up like the Dolls or David Bowie. And the kids fall into the glitter trip, and they, like, are flashy. Like, when the glitter trip first started, everybody put glitter under their eyes. and glitter all over their faces, but that sort of went out. But a lot of the kids still get dressed up in Flash, you know, lame and silk and satin.
And that's what that is.
Yeah, Flash.
Yeah. Now, you're not Flash, and you really aren't Flash as opposed to Chuck, who is Flash. Have you gone on to something else? Is there something else I don't know about?
Well, Flash isn't really my style. Like, I was noted for starting a lot of trends, you know, that was out of the Flash category.
I've heard it said that you are the numero uno groupie in the world. Is that right, Queenie?
That's correct.
You freely admit that she's number one?
Freely admit. But she got scooped up.
She got which?
She got scooped up by Johnny Thunder.
I'm engaged now.
Well, you're going to be married.
Yes, I retired the groupie life.
You're giving it all up.
Yes.
At 16 years old, after 2 years on the track, as they say.
Well, I've met everybody I wanted to meet, and I've accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish, and I'm ready to settle down.
And I assume then that Queenie or somebody like yourself will become the number one groupie, if anybody cares about that?
I don't think there'll be a number one, but I think it'll be a duo.
I don't really think there will be much more of a groupie scene anymore, because in a couple of months, a very wise musician told me once that, he said, quit while you can, start on to something else, because he told me in about another 3 months there won't be such thing as a groupie, because like it's really only famous in Hollywood. You know, it's became more commercial, and you know, people like reading about it, you know, because it is pretty interesting.
Yes, I would say it has certain elements about it that make it interesting and entertaining and sometimes very, very thought-provoking. I'm willing to try anything, you understand what I mean? But, gee, I don't know if I could do that. I wonder what it was. When I was your age, Chuck, I'm going to guess you out at 15 or 16 years old. 17. I had the feeling that my DA, and all the guys here know what a DA is, where the hair was parted back, kind of like the end of a duck that's facing north when he's going south. And we had the peg pants with the little things down the side, and we thought, boy, this is going to go on forever with my white buck shoes or sometimes the dirty desert blues. You thought, well, this is going to last forever. But I'm surprised to hear you say that you know it's not going to last forever.
Oh, no.
Do you think it's on the way out, Chuck?
Well, yeah, it really is, because like just like when the hippies came in, you know, everybody thought it was going to last forever. You know, it's gone now. There's no such thing as hippies. Like everything's got to come to an end sometime. You know, so while it's happening, you should, you know, get into it and enjoy it. You know,
it really was happening, but it's falling down now because all the musicians are getting married and finding old ladies for themselves, and that's really where it's
They're
at
finding
now.
any young ladies for themselves? I mean, you're 16. Johnny Thunder certainly hasn't found it. Oh, they call them old ladies, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
That was always my mother, huh?
So there they were, the groupies. Chuck, the star of Hollywood, who's in many ways not that much different from other young men who are 15, 16, 17 years old, except that it's taking his voice a long time to change. After this announcement, we'll show you something else. We did a program here on Halloween night, end of October, about witchcraft in this country. Not the kind where witches fly across the sky on brooms, but real witches who believe in a religion of sorts. And on that occasion, a man was here from Louisville, Kentucky. His name was Solomon Weir. And it was the first time I'd ever seen a satanic curse put on somebody, an imaginary person in this case. It was frightening in some regards, humorous in others, and we'll play it back for you after this commercial interruption. Okay, if your color television set has a kind of a reddish glow to it now, please don't adjust your knobs because we are causing it here with some fancy lighting for the next segment of our program. On the table here is Jessica, and standing next to me is Solomon Weir, the gentleman from Louisville, Kentucky, who I'm told works with the police department there.
Yes,
is that right?
that's right.
And what is it you do for the police department?
I test drunks for them. I'm a breathalyzer operator.
You ask people if they're drunk?
Yes, and then test them to see if they are drunk.
Do you ever greet them in this vestment that you're wearing?
Not so far.
No, because if you did, you probably wouldn't be able to prove it. But in any event, may I know what it is that we're going to do here with the incense and the candles and the knife and the young lady?
Yes, tonight we're doing a demonstration of a curse ritual. We're not actually cursing anybody tonight, of course.
But you believe that you can curse somebody and it will cause dire consequences in their life, huh?
It seems to have.
For example, who have you put a curse on?
Well, I can't name names because...
No, but to get a person who did something, and tell me what happened without giving the name.
All right. There were a group of people. It was actually a rival group to ours that was giving us a lot of trouble, harassment, and we cursed them. And subsequently, on one particular day, 4 members of that group were injured. I'm not saying the curse caused the injuries,
but you'd like to think so, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
Do the cops in Louisville know about all this stuff you do here, the cursing and stuff?
I don't know whether they do or not. They don't say anything to me.
Yeah, they're going to know now. All right, here is Solomon Weir and one of his famous curses. Solomon? Excuse me. Would the curse work better if I were to step off the platform here?
Doesn't matter. You can stay if you like.
I'll stay right here. I just don't want the curse to touch me, you know. Right there.
Ad Majorem Satanas Luciferique Gloriam. To the greater glory of Satan and Lucifer.
May I ask you questions about this as we go along? Now, you used Latin there, ad majorem Lucifer, to the greater glory of Lucifer, right?
Satan and Lucifer.
Okay. That really comes from the Christian church. Are you doing a parody on Christianity? Is that what this is?
Both of them are used by the Christian church, but they both predate Christianity. Lucifer was Roman. Satan was Hebrew.
All right. So as we go along here, I would like to have you tell me, for example, now we pull the knife out, what we're going to do with that, because I dare say most of us watching, including myself, don't know all these things as we go along. Thank you.
All right.
I understand I'm not mad at you because you
okay.
You got the curse there. It's...
You're just breaking the mood of the ritual.
Oh, if you'd like me to keep my mouth shut,
no,
pal, it's shut forever.
Your show.
You're right, but your curse. Okay.
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. I, who am the master of this temple, do summon thee, Abaddon, whose name is Destroyer. Come in the name of Lucifer, Satan. With this flame, I open the gate. The way is clear. Come!
May I ask what we've done so far?
We've called up the demon, Abaddon, the Destroyer.
Right, Abaddon is now here in the room, okay. What are we going to do now?
Heat the knife blade. We have the image of the victim.
This is the guy we don't
Yes.
like? Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're going to put the knife through him, aren't we?
Definitely.
Okay.
Behold, Abaddon, the waxen image of my enemy, cast in his likeness. Let it be charged with his name and his spirit. Let its tortures be his tortures. Let him feel the heated point sinking into his arrogant face. And into his treacherous heart. Into his soft belly.
Solomon, you sound like you really mean this. You promised me it was a demonstration.
Practice makes perfect. Let his limbs be crippled.
That does smart. Yep.
Great Abaddon, cruel and merciless spirit, that sittest in the graveyard and takest away healing from mortals. Go to my enemy, place a knot in his head and in his throat, put out his eyes and place poison in his belly, and break his arms and legs. Let his body be broken as I break this figure. And as it burns, so let him burn.
Happened here on Halloween. Next up, we'll visit a place over in Nevada, which is a lawfulized house of prostitution. It's called the Mustang Ranch, and we'll talk to a filly named Tiger when the Tomorrow program continues for the 1st of 1974.
Four of college football's finest teams will swing into action New Year's Day on NBC. First, at 1:30, undefeated Ohio State meets once-beaten USC in the Rose Bowl. Powerful Ohio State is led offensively by running back Archie Griffin and defensively by linebacker Randy Gradishar. While USC must find a way to stop these two, Ohio State must concentrate on USC's two great offensive threats, running back Anthony Davis and wide receiver Lynn Swann. Then, immediately following the Rose Bowl, NBC Sports moves to Miami for the Orange Bowl game, where the Tigers from LSU battle undefeated Penn State. Penn State features a powerful defense and a host of offensive stars led by Heisman Trophy winner John Cappelletti. A true test for the underdog, but always explosive LSU Tigers. There'll be plenty of Rose Bowl and Orange Bowl action, and NBC Sports has it all.
Air pollution is a serious problem here in California, but the real problem is cars. They cause most of the smog.
But people have to drive their cars?
Maybe. But how you drive is very important if you want to help get rid of smog. First of all, never let your car idle for a long time. So skip long warm-ups and kill the engine when you're just sitting and waiting. Another thing, anytime you start up a cold engine, take it easy for a few miles. A cold engine pushed fast really fouls up the air. And remember this, your car puts out a lot more of the hydrocarbons that cause smog when you continually accelerate and decelerate. It's best if you drive at a steady, even speed. That means that if you are traveling fast, don't suddenly let up on the gas. To fight smog, always slow down very gradually, okay?
Okay. Thanks for the tips.
Do your share to clear the air.
Tomorrow, guest accommodations provided by Century Plaza Hotel, a Western International Hotel in Century City.
I want to leave our in-studio guest this morning for just a couple of moments and take you to a place that I'm certain many of you have never been before. This is the Mustang Ranch in Nevada, where prostitution is legal, and this is what you call a house.
I'm Tiger.
Kenya.
Marcy.
Susie. Wendy.
Libra.
Lee.
Tara. Nadine.
For one thing, I think a girl should get paid for it instead of giving it away to anybody who wants it. I mean, why not get something out of it and get something for it? Besides just giving it to anybody that wants it for nothing. They don't have anything to show for it. Some people do it for a drink. Some people do it for food. Some people do it just for a room to stay for one night. How long does that last them? Until the next meal is due? Until the bottle is empty? Until 12 o'clock the next day when they say your time is up? And you got to pay for another day?
Tiger, is that how you got started in this?
No, No, I got started because I never wanted to give it away. I always wanted to get something out of it. And I figured if I was going to do it, I might as well get something for it or don't do it at all. And I know this is the fastest way and the easiest way to make a living where you're not out there in the streets where you have all this, you don't have to worry about the police harassing you. You don't have to worry about always, worrying about a guy jumping on you or something because you have all the protection in the world in a house.
What is it that you do for these men?
Well, it all depends on what they spend, is what they get.
Do you ever get into problems with men?
And only be a prostitute, you have to be a psychiatrist, you have to be a psychologist, and you learn how to talk to people. And in fact, a lot of people can come to us and pay the price that's less than what a psychiatrist would charge, and we would tell them the exact same thing that they would tell them.
During those long days there on the Mustang Ranch, what do you do? What is a typical working day like for Tiger?
Well, my normal working day, you really can't say because you never have the same amount from day to day. No 2 days are just alike. And so it's really hard to say. That's why no girl could say, well, I make so-and-so much amount a week, because no 2 weeks are the same.
They're all the same. I haven't heard any moaning or groaning through the walls there. Is this whole routine mechanical for you?
No, not really. Some girls can make it like that and others don't. A lot of them make them think, well, if they moan and groan and do a little extra things, well, gets them off quicker. And then others don't. Others just go it and play it by ear.
Yes. How about yourself? Do you get any sexual excitement?
Oh, sure. Well, we're not robots. We're really human. And we have feelings just like you and just like anybody else. And, sure, we get aroused.
The Real People, right here on the Tomorrow program. During 1974, the first month of this year, we'll be in New York City to do a couple of programs starting on January the 21st. And if you'll be in the New York area and like to come in and join us for the videotaping of a program in the middle of the evening in New York, we'd be pleased to have you join us for that. We have a limited number of tickets available. And if you would like to be with us for an evening, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, simply address the ticket division of NBC at 30 Rockefeller Center, New York, 10022, and we'll look for you there. As we continue here on this New Year's morning now, the 1st of January, 1974, we'll visit by videotape the Olympic Auditorium in downtown Los Angeles, a wild and woolly fight arena that lights up every Thursday night, and meet what we consider to be the only female fight promoter in the whole wide world after this announcement.
From the jungles of India to the high peaks of the Andes, inside the Arctic Circle, deep under the sea, far out across the sands of the great deserts, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom takes you where few men have gone before. Shows you how rare and endangered species are being saved through the resourcefulness of man. Come with me every week and bring the family along.
Adventures of a Bengal tigress and her cubs, Sunday night at 7.
Give the kids a chance to live.
Hi, I'm Hugh O'Brien.
I'm Tracy Florian.
Tracy has cystic fibrosis, a lung disease that has no cure, yet. But the National Cystic Fibrosis Research Foundation is bringing lots of help and hope to youngsters like little Tracy here.
They're helping the kids with other lung diseases.
Well, they sure are. Do you know that there are 6 million children in this country with lung diseases like severe asthma, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and cystic fibrosis? Well, the cystic fibrosis people can't help them all, but they do help a lot of them, and there are many treatment centers all over the country, and they're adding years to these children's lives. Now, this care and research costs an awful lot. That's why I'm urging you to give to your local cystic fibrosis chapter. Won't you help them help youngsters like my little friend here? You're giving the breath of life.
And we really need it. Thank you.
There was a time in this country many years ago when Friday night was fight night on television, remember? And it was Tuesday night, 2 nights a week, boxing coast to coast on the various television networks. That time is gone now, except for an occasional championship fight from a big Astrodome or a great big Forum or Madison Square Garden. Except here in Los Angeles, we still have fights on television 1 night a week. From a place called the Olympic Auditorium, which you see right now in a rather seamy part of town, where thousands of people turn out to see men hitting each other in the ring. The Olympic Auditorium itself is unique, perhaps, in that it does have a televised boxing show every week. But what makes it even more unusual is the fact that the person who promotes the fights there, who makes the matches, if you will, is a woman. And so far as I know, she is the only woman matchmaker or fight promoter in the world. I say as I know because I haven't found another one. Her name is Eileen Eaton. You see her right there at ringside. Eileen, can you hear us here?
Yes, I can.
What's going on down there at the Olympic right now?
A lot of excitement, Tom. Every Thursday night, you know, a lot of excitement.
I understand. What kind of a bout do you have behind you there?
Armando Muniz, who's the number 5 ranked welterweight in the world, against Novak Barajas, so I got to turn on that one, the number 10 ranked in the world.
All right. Eileen, I know that I know why you got to be a lady fight promoter, but I'm sure a lot of people don't know. How'd you get started in the fight game?
Well, you know, originally I came down here as a business manager, and then when my husband, who later became my husband, was the promoter, and after a few years, after taking care of his business affairs, he decided it was a lot cheaper to marry me and at least get half his money back.
Yeah, sometimes a wife can be an investment that pays no dividends, if you know what I mean.
That's right.
How do you handle getting on with big, tough fighters? Do they sometimes walk into your office to sign a contract and say, what's the Dame doing here?
What's the what?
What's the Dame doing
not
here?
Not for a long time. I used to, when I first started, we had a matchmaker who turned out, to be a real close friend of mine. But he walked in, he said to Callie, who was not my husband at that time, he says, get rid of that redhead. So my husband said, I can't. She came with the lease, which was true. So he says, well, she's got to go. He says, she can't go. So you'll have to put up with it. So really, he and I became friends, and he taught me matchmaking, and it was a great experience.
And you've been there since 1942?
1942. I wish
Eileen,
you would mention that.
How is the fight game today? It's been said by some critics of boxing that it's a sport on the way out. Now, I know it's not at your arena. Why?
Well, I think that my matchmaker, Don Chargan, should be given an awful lot of credit. He makes good, interesting, close fights every week. And, we don't sometimes have big names, but it doesn't make any difference. The people come to see action. And, I got to turn around again, Tom.
Somebody's booing there.
Yeah.
Might have been a bum call by your referee. What's his name?
The referee tonight is George Latka, one of the best.
Honest referee?
Pardon?
Is he an honest referee?
Oh, they're all honest in California. I tell you something, California has the best referees in the world. It's the only place where there are fights where the champions, coming into the state, do not ask for outside officials, which is rather amazing. Every place else in the world, you know, they ask for neutral officials.
Arlene, have you ever heard of a fixed fight?
Yes, I sure have. They tried to fix one here about 25 years ago.
What happened?
Well, my husband heard about it because the odds changed, you know, considerably. And he heard about it. He got a member of the Attorney General's office down here. And we found out which one was supposed to go down. And they scared the heck out of him. They just scared the living daylights out of him. And when he got in the ring, they said, if you go down, we're going to
say, Eileen, Eileen, may I interrupt you, please?
Sure.
It looks like they're throwing something there. I saw something go past your face.
It was an apple, I think.
Oh. You think?
I like to pick it up and eat it. I'm hungry.
Eileen Eaton, the Olympic Auditorium here in Los Angeles, where they don't have big names every night. Similarity there between that auditorium and the Tomorrow program. For example, on our first night, October 15th, 1973, a fellow sent me a letter after this first program. He said, I have to tell you looked awfully anxious. He was wrong. I was scared to death. We put on some people who are engaged in something called group marriage. The people that we saw that night were named the Hecks, 3 of them, 1 man and 2 women. And we noted that they lived together in a group, and I asked Peter Heck what he and these 2 ladies did.
We come more under an expanded family than we do under a group marriage situation. And what we found is that the 3 of us can live together more compatibly with fewer emotional hassles, if you will, or whatever else, and more stability than any 2 of us.
Peter, were you married to Maureen or to Susie?
Yeah.
And you were a couple, a man and a wife, living together for 15 years. What happened? How come Maureen all of a sudden joined the picture?
Susie can answer that better than I can.
Oh, she came to dinner one day. Actually,
stayed.
And she's been there ever since.
We've always been. Well, we have a. Well, we have the regular regalia. You know, we've got the mortgage and the kids and the house and all this sort of a thing. We've always been fairly open. We're used to having friends come and stay with us. We're in not a very socially tight context.
We tend to be gregarious.
I gather that from your first line, that she came to dinner and stayed for dessert. Yes.
Maureen came to stay with us for a couple of weeks from the East Coast, and we just evolved into the situation where we are now, where having her there was more pleasant than not having her there.
How so? How was it more pleasant for you?
Well, I felt that liking Susie and Peter so much and feeling so very much at home there, that it was a very beautiful situation for me. I felt very free. I had security, but yet I had the freedom to do exactly what I wanted, when I wanted, and at the same time having this very beautiful foundation.
I've always thought that people who lived as you people live were the kinds of people that I would read about in those magazines that you can buy in the vending boxes outside of some restaurants in this country, where they talk, they have, you know, the little ads where the girl is advertising to go and live with a couple who is in a swinging situation and something like that. Are you people swingers? Do you swing? Do you move around a lot? Are you sexually promiscuous or
No, I don't
something
think
like
we are. We have experience at it, but I don't think that...
I don't know that we would agree with the assignation promiscuous, actually.
Yes.
Because our very lifestyle, by some people, would be called promiscuous. So I don't think we can go along with that word.
But on the other hand, we don't feel it's promiscuous because, like, we're close to our friends, but doesn't promiscuity connote just anyone, which isn't so in our case.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. I'm saying, are you swingers in the contemporary definition of that word? Do you have group sex parties? Do you move in that kind of circle?
Occasionally.
To a very limited extent. But basically...
What's limited? Once a week?
Much less than that. Basically, the 3 of us, as a unit, are self-sustaining. We don't need to go outside for any emotional or sexual need.
You 3 are a self-contained unit. How do you decide, like, what's going to happen on Tuesday and what's going to happen on Wednesday and Thursday and that sort of thing?
You don't decide. It isn't that.
It's just a freewheeling thing where whatever vibration is going on at one particular time, that sort of thing happens.
There's quite a bit of privacy involved. It's not a situation where the three of us are in the bathtub together and in the bed together. And
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out, because, you know, I read these things in the magazines. They had one in Santa Barbara up here in California where they had all these people together in a bathtub, and I read about these sensitivity institutes where couples go and they cohabit for a weekend or something like that. So as I say, I'm learning from you. I've never met people who were group married before.
The primary...
the whole idea terrifies me, I've got to tell you.
The primary commitment's emotional, okay? It's easy when you start talking about three people living together to get off on the sexual fantasy aspect of it and say, wow, those three people are doing things that I was told when I was a teenager I shouldn't do, right? Mm-hmm. But actually, sex is probably the smallest part of it. It's the fact that we feel an emotional commitment to each other. We have a relationship with each other that extends far beyond just the sexual aspect of it. So if you would consider us to be, all of us to be very, very good friends with the possibility of sexual interaction, you'd have a better picture of it.
Maureen, when you came for dinner, did you know what you were getting into, so to speak? I mean, did you just come for dinner? How did you find Peter and Susie Heck?
Very good dinner companions.
No, but I mean, you must have...
What the heck? After this commercial announcement, we will move on to a program which touched all of us very deeply. It involved a young man named Keith Steffen. We put him on as somebody who was dying of Hodgkin's disease, and that night he turned this whole cast and crew around by telling us he was living with Hodgkin's disease. You'll meet him after this announcement.
NHL style. Nobody plays the game as well or as rough as the players of the NHL. And nobody covers hockey like NBC. See for yourself when the NHL returns, immediately following Sanford and Son, Friday at 8:30, 7:30 Central Time, with the Boston Bruins battling the New York Rangers. There'll be plenty of action, and NBC Sports has it all.
Taking a walk with my son is a wonderful experience for me, one I once thought I might never have. Scott and I know what birth defects mean. Thanks to the March of Dimes, we also know that people care enough to want to help prevent birth defects. Take an imaginary walk with us, and remember, birth defects are forever unless you help. Give to the March of Dimes.
If you stop to think about it, this is really quite a place. Los Angeles and its surrounding communities form one of the largest urban centers in the world. It's a city built on wheels, where constant change is a way of life. Many of its landmarks are disappearing into the changing skyline. Los Angeles is the center of Southern California, an area that contains almost half the population of the western United States. Every day is news in LA. That's why we designed the KNBC News Service, to bring the best possible news coverage to the more than 150 communities we serve. Watch the KNBC News Service, and we'll show you what's making news today.
We continue now for this time with Mr. Keith Steffen, who is 25 years old and who is dying of Hodgkin's disease. And I'm going to let you tell this whole story, but may I say at the outset, I have the feeling that there are some people who may feel that we are invading terribly upon your privacy here. And would you say something about that?
Let me just interrupt you and say I'm not dying of it, I'm living with it. I think it's important that that point be made. If I were going to die of it, it would have happened, I think, quite a while ago. I have no intention of letting go. I will always keep trying and perhaps prolong The inevitable. I enjoy life and have no intentions of letting go.
How did this all begin? You were in Vienna as a missionary for the church, for the Mormon
Yes,
church.
I was in Austria for the Mormon church. I became very weak. In Austria, they ride bicycles rather than drive cars. And it's sort of what we're getting into in this country now. But I began to feel very weak, riding up hills and running upstairs and so on. I thought I was getting asthma or a lung infection of some kind. I went to the hospital and it was diagnosed Hodgkin's disease. A swelling of the lymph nodes pressing against my bronchial tubes, constricting my breathing. They put me in the hospital for diagnosis and tests and treatment and so on. And I was not told at this time what the situation was. My parents in LA here received a telegram saying, by now you know that your son is dying of cancer, and they had not heard until that moment. And they immediately called the airlines and arranged for tickets and so on, but by the time they would have been there, I became well enough that they could send me home. And I entered the hospital again here, and it's progressed from there in treatments and so on.
How did you find out?
I knew that there was something dreadfully wrong. When I was in the hospital, I went into convulsions and difficulty breathing and so on, passed out several times. So I knew it was bad. When they sent me home, then I knew it was really bad. And my parents had known for about 3 weeks by the time I was told. I remember sitting in the doctor's office and they said, well, this is what you've got, and it's very bad. And I said, how bad? Bad, bad. You're going to die. And I kind of thought to myself, this is a bad movie, and almost laughingly said, give it to me straight. And I turned and looked at my parents, and they were wet-eyed, and you could see that they'd been crying. And I realized, I think for the first time, that they weren't kidding. And I decided, I think for their benefit, that I couldn't break down then. And I think that my whole effort has been to prevent the anguish to other people. I still don't believe it's really happening. It's still a bad dream, and it's, if I really believed it, perhaps I would die. But again, I have no intention of letting them tell me what I can do.
How long have you known this about yourself? How long have you been living with this?
5.5 years.
During that 5.5 years, how often have you felt sorry for yourself? Where you maybe said, look, this is going to happen anyway. Maybe I should help it along a little bit. About the third month I was back in the States. I'd been in the hospital and I was going to cobalt treatments every day. And there's a series of drugs that they give you that cause nausea. And I spent many nights sitting on the floor in the bathroom throwing up. And about the third or fourth day of that, you begin to get a little tired of it. And I remember my father walking into my room, and I was holding a gun. And I was laughing. And he, stunned, took it away from me and said, you know, that's not the way. Well, the reason I was laughing was because I thought to myself, this might be a way out. But I was laughing because I had loaded it with more than one bullet, and I thought to myself, you know, what am I going to need 3 or 4 with, you know, and perhaps it's a gallows sense of humor. The guy that thumbs his nose at the hangman before he drops. I don't know what has given me that outlook, but I feel that I can triumph over the thing. And I hate to sound so noble, but that's the way I feel.
Keith Steffens, so far as we know, is still in triumph over death. He has seen and will continue to see 1974. That evening went on to become one of the most emotional that those of us who work on television programs have been involved in. And the following day, or the 2 days after the program ran on the air, we got this letter in the office, simply addressed, "Dear Tom, it is 2:25 in the morning, December 4th, 1973. I have been lying here still for 25 minutes thinking after seeing the Tomorrow program about death and dying." The writer goes on, "I had just completed a note left to my psychiatrist, who I felt bitter towards, and others that I felt were to blame, for I was about to take my own life. I had my hair and dress just so. I'd straightened my home. I saw my close friend earlier in the evening and put out a lovely portrait of myself taken the week before." The writer continued, "All my sleeping pills were saved up. They were in a bottle next to me on the bedstand. The lights were off. I was completely alone in the house. I left the television on, I guess for a night light, for when I reached for the pills, or maybe just to keep myself company. I'm not sure why I left the set on, but it was playing. The wind was howling outside, and I put the volume up on the TV set just loud enough so the first sound of voices would be near as I drifted off in my final sleep. I came over adjusting the covers and pillow, and I heard a man, Keith Steffen, talking about dying, about his dying. I lay there with the jar clasped in my hands, and though my mind was on my own thoughts that morning, the sound of a young man seemed to become more distinct. I began to listen, really listen, and to learn something about life and about dying and what it all meant. I realized I didn't know what life ever meant, and I dumped the pills away. Keith said he can go on even though, as he drifts off to sleep many evenings, he's not certain he's going to wake up in the morning. He just shook me back to reality when he said that. I don't know if this was fate, but certainly enough he saved my life. I'll see my doctor in the morning. I shan't be so bitter this time. Keith isn't. I'm 25 years old, too. And if he can try, I can also. Thank him for me." Don't tell any of us who work on this program that television doesn't touch people. We'll continue after this announcement.
Southern California. It's a great place. It's a vast place. That's why we produce over 800 local programs every year to serve the needs of 12 million viewers in over 150 communities. Programs of social interest like women's lib, welfare, ecology, and consumerism. Ethnic specials, as well as weekly shows exploring the problems and issues of our minority communities. Children's programs, sports, religion, education, the arts, city and government affairs. All in all, a balanced schedule of programming. That's why when we say we're serving Southern California, we mean it.
Like father, like son.
Think about it. For information on smoking and heart disease, ask your heart association.
Okay, at the top of the hour this morning, we introduced what is called the cosmic beam of Francisco Lupica, who comes to us from San Francisco area here in California. And before you demonstrate this for us again, what is this thing?
This is the cosmic beam experience.
Microphone, please, Will. You'll have to talk into that.
This is the cosmic beam experience, and this is a steel girder, a channel beam from the bed of a semi-truck, and I have 4 of them here. One's 13 feet long, 7 feet, 4 feet, and 2 feet long.
All right. And what was your reason for putting this whole thing together?
To help people get rest and get within themselves through sound.
It is said that you can put people to sleep with this. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why do you have all these keys up here of all different kinds?
They sound pretty.
They just sound pretty. All right, so here is Francisco Lupica, and he will demonstrate for us once again the, may I call it the amazing cosmic beam?
Sure.
The amazing cosmic beam. Here it is, right on your screens tonight. Mr. Lupica told me that night that the cosmic beam, if played often enough, will put you to sleep. We're all getting kind of tired here. As a matter of fact, great bulk of the mail that comes in says, I don't know how much longer I can stay up at night and watch those people you're putting on. We don't know how much longer we can stay up and put these people on, but we'll keep trucking through 1974, and all of us on this program hope it's the greatest year for the rest of your life. Happy New Year and good morning.